Oh my gosh, have you been thinking about moving to Tucson and interested in how much $400,000 will buy you in the Tucson real estate market? Ange?
We're gonna let you find out. So obviously $400,000 looks very different in different parts of Tucson, so we're gonna break it down and let you know what you could get in each area.
And on top of that, if you hang out till the end of this video, we're also gonna go over how much utility costs are, taxes, insurance in the Tucson market, so you can compare that to other markets outside of Tucson. And if you're interested in what's going on in the current market in the Tucson real estate market, check out our channel because we have other videos that go over the market statistics in the moment. Click down below and check out the channel. So you're probably wondering what the median sales price of a house is in Tucson compared to other markets. Currently in Tucson, we're right around that $385,000 range, depending on what part of Tucson you're in. If you're up in the foothills, you're definitely gonna be more than that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you compare that to the Phoenix area, that median sales price in the greater Phoenix area is around $500,000. So on average, you can be about $100,000 less than in the Phoenix area.
Right, and then if you're talking about the greater Phoenix area, once you start getting into Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, North Phoenix, Peoria, that median sales price is gonna creep up from $500,000 pretty quick.
Yeah, so for this video, we're gonna stick around $400,000, which means you need to stay in Tucson.
That's right. Let's see what we can get you for $400,000. A lot of people, Angie, are choosing Tucson because of lower taxes, lower utility costs, great outdoor life, and just more of that slower pace and more living space in a home. So what areas of town could a first-time home buyer or maybe just somebody relocating find a house for $400,000 in Tucson?
Okay, we're gonna start with Vail. So approximately $400,000 in Vail is going to get you most likely a 3 or 4 bedroom house. A lot of people can get a pool. I just closed one last week. These people bought the house for $375,000. Gorgeous mountain views, completely open desert behind it. So it was killer. They were looking in all areas, but for that $400,000 price point, they could get a really nice one.
And they got it with a pool.
No, that one didn't have a pool.
That one didn't have a pool. But you got killer views in Vail.
Yes.
And the Vail School District is absolutely fantastic, and a lot of people actually choose Vail because of their school district.
Yeah, for sure. Schools are top ranked in Vail, and it's still about 25 minutes from Tucson, so not too far out. So higher end, a little bit higher end home, and a lot of new construction in Vail.
So is there an option to buy a house in the Catalina Foothills for $400,000 in Tucson?
So if you're gonna go to Catalina Foothills, $400,000 is gonna be more like a 2-bed, 2-bath, maybe a condo or a townhouse, yeah.
But you get the views. So it depends on kind of what you're looking for. Yep. But if a consumer is relocating to Tucson and they're looking for $1,600 to $1,800, maybe a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, maybe even with a good solid starter pool. Is there another area in town that would work for them?
So Marana would be a good spot in that price point. So again, you're gonna have a lot of new construction in Marana, but you could definitely get in kind of in the middle, a little bit higher than an entry level would be around $400,000. You could start out a little bit lower than that, but so you're not gonna have a pool with that price probably if it's a newer construction home, but you could definitely find a resale that would have a pool. Might need a little bit of updating for that price.
And so maybe one of the advantages of Marana compared to some of the other communities is they're really expanding with new construction. And how does that play into that $400,000 price range?
Yeah, so with new construction, you could definitely get kind of a starting price right around $400,000. So again, that would be a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, something like that. All new warranties, all new appliances. So that's definitely appealing to a lot of people. Marana's growing quite a bit. A lot of people love it because the easy access to I-10, easy access to get downtown, easy access to Phoenix.
Yeah. And we've made other videos, if you want to go in and check it out, on the difference between resale and new construction and kind of that $400,000 price range, whether you're looking for a resale and something that's a little more mature, or whether you're looking for new home construction and the benefits of that.
So $400,000 in Marana, not going to get you quite as much as you would get in Vail, but still a great property.
So what other areas is Sahuarita? Is that an area that would somebody be able to relocate to the Tucson market and start at that $400,000 price range?
So Sahuarita is actually one of the most affordable suburbs in the Tucson area. So starting price point, you can be really in the high 3s. So at $400,000 in Sahuarita, probably 2-story, 4-bedroom, maybe even 3-bedroom or 3 or 4-bedroom with a pool.
buy a lot of house there for $400,000.
Definitely going to get more square footage. And
I think there's a lot of people that are relocating to the Tucson area that maybe just don't want to be in Tucson proper. You know, they come from maybe a smaller community in the Midwest. They're looking a little bit more that bedroom community, and Sahuarita would definitely feel that. You know, it's south of Tucson. What is it, a 20-minute drive back into downtown?
about 25 minutes.
Yeah, you know, so if you're looking for that kind of a lifestyle, Sahuarita's amazing. They've got the lake, they've got the clubhouse and everything that goes along with that outdoor living that we talked about at the beginning of the video.
Yeah, Sahuarita's kind of like a big master plan community type feel. So a lot of families choose to go there because of that, all the amenities and everything that's in, especially the Rancho Sahuarita.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a new subdivision going in there with like huge lots.
I saw that.
So it's really changing, but.
So where else in Tucson, if a consumer was coming, so we've covered Vail, we've covered Marana, we've covered Sahuarita, where else might somebody that was coming into town looking for that $400,000 price range, where might be a great area for them to look?
Well, Oro Valley would be another one to touch on. So at $400,000, it's probably going to be like a condo or a small townhouse again. Probably going to need some updating, but so price points in Oro Valley and Foothills are going to be pretty similar. So 400,000 entry level condo, townhome, probably some updating, but you get the mountains.
Right. And so let's kind of shift away from the price point conversation for a minute, and let's talk about the other housing costs that people incur, taxes, insurance, utilities, those kind of things, and maybe how it compares here to other places.
Tucson is really known for one of the lowest property taxes in the area, especially compared to Phoenix. Huge difference.
Yeah, I know. In one of our other videos, we were talking about seniors and senior living and transitioning, and we went through that with our family. And so we just purchased a property in Springfield, Illinois, which is only about 100,000 people. And it's a small duplex, 2,000 square feet. And the taxes there on that thing are almost $5,000 a year. And so if you look at the tax there on a duplex that was built in 1963 for that kind of tax, compared to what you could buy in Tucson from a tax perspective, that's a pretty significant difference. And so seeing that the national averages are about how much, Ange?
National average is about 1% of the sales price, and here in Tucson, we're about 0.75%.
So there's a significant savings there, depending on where you're coming from. And of course, when you get into the larger metros outside of Arizona, it's probably much more significant than that.
For sure.
So definitely competitive on the tax front. So let's talk about utilities, Angie. So how do utility, like if we're talking like a 1,300 to 1,500 square foot house here in Tucson, maybe what would an average utility electric bill look like for them?
Well, of course, in Tucson, it's super hot in the summer, so it's definitely going to depend on the time of year. I would say on average for a 2-bedroom house, you're probably looking on the low end, maybe 75 to 100 depending on the time of the year. And then in the summertime, you're probably not going to go over 200. And then as we get a little bit bigger, so if we get to kind of an average 3-4 bedroom, 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. In the summertime, you're probably looking 350. And then on the low end, maybe 150. Okay, so let's talk about payment. Let's break down a payment.
Awesome. Let's talk about money.
Okay, so if we're buying a house, somebody's buying a house for $400,000.
Yeah.
First loan that we'll break down is an FHA loan.
Okay.
So with an FHA loan, the buyer is going to be looking at probably a 3.5% down payment. So at $400,000, the down payment is
roughly $14,000, something in that ballpark.
Okay, so obviously since it's a lower down payment, the monthly payment's going to be a little bit higher because it's a higher loan amount. So monthly payment wise for $400,000, it's probably going to be about $3,000 a month for your mortgage payment.
And it's been nice because the last several years, we've just continued to see interest rates start to creep back down from where we saw the high, post-pandemic.
Yeah, those numbers are based off of about 6.25 to 6.5% interest rate. So yeah, those will drop if the interest rates drop.
Yeah, so if you're looking at that depending on where you're coming from, that's a really competitive package when you start looking at how much home you can buy, where you can buy it, pick up a pool, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom maybe, payment in that $3,000 range, strong on taxes, from a cost perspective, and reasonable utilities. And of course, if you get a new construction, then you get the benefits of the higher R values and some of those things, so it'll probably push the utilities down.
For sure, yeah, good point.
All right, Angie, so walk us through a conventional loan, 20% down. So if we're talking 20% down on a $400,000 home, we're talking roughly $80,000 cash in. So you're looking at a loan amount of around $320,000. What are they looking at for a loan payment in that range?
So monthly mortgage payment would be about $2,400 a month.
Pretty compelling.
Yep, For sure. A lot of people try to do a 20% down payment because then they're avoiding mortgage insurance. So it takes the mortgage insurance off, loan amount's a little bit lower, therefore the monthly payment's a little bit lower at $2,400. Again, that's about 6.25 to 6.5% interest rate.
Yeah, because that mortgage insurance on a $400,000 house, you're probably looking at an additional maybe $200 a month, something like that. So it's a significant bump in your monthly budget, right?
Yep.
And another financing option is if you happen to be a veteran, there's some really cool benefits about using your veterans benefits to purchase a home, which I've done in the past. So kind of walk us through what are some of the benefits of using the VA loan to buy a house at $400,000, and what are we looking at as far as monthly costs?
Yeah, VA loans are great. Most lenders will say that that truly is the best loan to get. So one of the huge benefits is that buyers can purchase with zero money down. So
that's amazing. 0% down. Got that? Wow, that's cool.
Yep. So one thing to keep in mind with the VA loan, there is something called a VA funding fee. So if we go back to our $400,000 analogy, that VA funding fee is going to be between $8,000 and $9,000. So the nice part though is that that gets added to the loan, so it's not something that the buyers have to pay out of pocket. So
that's right.
Huge perk with the VA loans is there's really not much money out of pocket at all, other than your inspections. That's really it.
Yeah, and another great thing about the VA loan is even though with a conventional loan, if you come in with less than 20%, then you're going to pay mortgage insurance, which is a couple $100 a month at this price point. And one of the benefits of using your VA loan is you won't have that cost.
Yeah, so monthly mortgage payment with the VA loan with zero down will be about $2,900 to $3,000, again with a 6.5% or 6.25% interest rate. And so your payment is the same basically as an FHA loan, only you don't have any money out of pocket. Yeah. And it's because of that you don't have to pay that mortgage insurance.
It's a great loan. It's a great resource. If you're thinking about buying and you haven't looked into your VA benefits and your loans, we have lenders that specialize in that particular loan product too. They do them a lot. You know, this year we'll sell almost 500 homes, and we've got lenders that have done dozens of these kind of loans for our clients. So we got you covered on the expertise and the lending side.
So while we're talking about VA, we have a lot of military buyers that choose to live on the east side of town. That's a popular area for them. So let's break down the east side a little bit and what we get on the east side for $400,000.
So let's talk. And one of the advantages is the proximity to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, right? So what would a $400,000 house on the east side of town, what would that look like for somebody that's maybe relocating for the military, or maybe somebody that's just a veteran and relocating to Tucson that had served in the services?
Yeah, so there is some new construction still on the east side, not as much as on the more outskirts, but since it is closer to Davis-Monthan, it is a choice that a lot of people make. So if you're buying new construction, $400,000 is going to be about more of the entry point, $400 to $425 for one of the newer construction homes like that. If you're not going new construction, then $400,000 is going to get you a little bit more of an older home. Probably a good chance that you could get a pool at $400,000. You might need a little bit of updating in it. It's not going to be fully remodeled at that price, but a good home, possibly with a pool, 3 to 4 bedrooms, right around $400,000.
So we've kind of covered everything but kind of that core central downtown central Tucson area. So one, why would somebody choose central Tucson maybe over one of the other areas that we've talked about? And what would $400,000 buy you in central Tucson?
A lot of people like central Tucson for the character. There's a lot of character in the home, so those are going to be resale homes. You're not going to find new construction really in central Tucson. So a lot of professors, a lot of students. You're close to the U of A.
Go Cats.
$400,000 is going to get maybe a 2 to 3 bedroom bungalow, possibly 1 bathroom. Sometimes those are mixed in there in the central area.
There's a lot of those kind of homes. They're older homes where they have maybe a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 2-bedroom, 2 bath, and then they have an additional dwelling unit in the back or on the side because the lots were, when the home was built, were considerably larger than the lots that we build with new construction now, right?
For sure. Yeah. So to give you an example, I have one on the market right now. We just went in contract yesterday at $425,000. So to your point, it has a single family home on the front, and then the back has a 1-bedroom, 1-bath studio. So the front, just to kind of break down the numbers, right around that $400,000 to $425,000 price point. The front right now is rented out as a furnished property for $2,300 a month. In the back, just as a studio, will rent out for about $1,100 a month. So
there you go.
A lot of people are choosing that to live there and have some additional income, especially as the interest rates are a little bit higher right now. It's kind of a nice thing for some entry-level buyers to be able to do and offset their monthly expenses.
in fact, you know, my oldest son, we helped Hunter acquire one of these kinds of properties where he lived in one unit and rented out the other, you know, and so that's very, very popular for people that are trying to offset that payment and still have that central vibe, be close to downtown, be close to the university, sports, all the things that has to offer. So if you're looking, that's kind of a cool, what they call a house hack. You live in one unit, rent out the other, let them help pay the mortgage or the taxes, and you can walk down to the restaurants. And not everybody wants to live in town, right, Ange?
That's true.
So maybe you're one of those, you're thinking about relocating to Tucson, and you have a pet and it happens to be a horse instead of a dog, and you need someplace to raise your horse. So what would $400,000 buy you in that price range if you were looking for that kind of property, and where would you have to go to get it?
It's going to be a little tricky to find horse property at $400,000, but if you go up north towards Catalina, you might have a few options. Or if you go farther west, out in the, like, kind of the outskirts of Marana, there's some larger lots. You might end up, depending on the size of the lot, it might be a manufactured home, or in Catalina, yeah, it's going to be a smaller home, but you might have some options.
So that kind of hits the highlights around, you know, what you could or couldn't get, maybe if you were looking for, you know, that kind of that open air horse type property, chickens, that kind of thing. But let's talk about maybe you're a family you're a bigger family, and you just need more house. And so maybe this is geared towards somebody that's coming in from out of town, and or maybe they're relocating here and they just have a bigger family and they just need a bigger home to live in to house their family. Where would they look to try and accommodate that and hit that $400,000 price point?
So you could probably find that in Marana. So you could probably get something between 1,800 and 2,200 square feet, a little bit larger lot, maybe quarter of an acre or so, something like that. Every once in a while, there'll be a 3-car garage sprinkled in there. That's going to be more like the ranch style home. Might need a little bit of updating if you want it to have like all new kitchen and stuff like that. But yeah, you could definitely get that.
Could achieve that, yeah.
So that would be in Marana. You could also probably find that on the east side of town. So again, 3 to 4 bedrooms, a little bit larger size lot. So maybe on like a quarter of an acre, a little bit less. And a lot of those homes, obviously, they're not going to have an HOA, or be less likely to have an HOA.
What happens if somebody wants to move to Tucson, Angie, and maybe they're a senior, they're looking for an active adult community? What would $400,000 buy them in the Tucson market, and where would they look?
Okay, so retirement-wise, if people are looking for like that active adult type style, so Rancho Vistoso, up in SaddleBrooke, so $400,000 there. You're probably going to be looking at either a small 3-bedroom or 2-bed, 2-bath type townhouse. So most likely it's kind of middle of the road, not completely updated, but not completely out of date either. So middle of the road, $400,000, 2 to 3 bedrooms. Smaller, you're going to be about 1,200 to 1,500 square feet.
So maybe if you're looking to relocate and you're looking for an active adult community, and Green Valley would be one of those, and it's south of Tucson, about 20-25 miles, and it's one of the older adult communities, so it's got some really nice golf courses. And so if you're looking to buy something for $400,000 and be on a golf course and hit that price point, Green Valley is a really good option for you. And there's some people that just don't want to live in Tucson proper, you know, that are looking, they come from someplace and they like that more that rural feel, small town feel, and Green Valley is going to help them solve that.
Yep, so you really could get a $400,000 house that's in a golf course community. It's a little bit trickier in Green Valley to find something that's more updated. A lot of the homes there are a little bit more middle of the road. Some, you know, still have older amenities that people that purchase there might go in at a lower price point and then add some money to it to kind of get it updated the way that people want it.
So to kind of wrap up, Angie, I think we've covered the areas in Tucson. So if you're looking for a $400,000 price point and you want to get there, and you're looking for someplace that has better taxes than most, reasonable utility costs, $400,000 price point is certainly achievable in our market.
Yeah, it really is. Pretty much all areas of Tucson, there's something that you could get for $400,000.
So if you're looking to buy a house in that $400,000 price point and you're looking for a list of homes, DM us, subscribe to our channel, check out other videos, and we'll set you up on a search so that we know exactly what you're looking for. We'll help you find that dream home.
And you can, of course, book a call in the description below. Okay, before we wrap up, let's go through some FAQs so we can give people some good answers for the questions that they ask.
Awesome, let's do it.
Okay, Pete, is Tucson still affordable compared to other Arizona cities?
Yes, it is. In fact, we're probably 20 to 25% more affordable than something comparable up in the Phoenix Valley. So if you're looking for that affordability and you want to save that 20 to 25%, Tucson's a great option.
Okay, and taxes, tell us about the taxes. Are taxes affordable in Tucson?
Taxes are definitely affordable in Tucson. National average is in that 1% and above. In Tucson, you're probably 0.75% of the purchase price. So we're definitely more affordable. So Angie, is $400,000 enough to buy a home in the Tucson market and still buy it with a pool?
Yes, you certainly can. So Foothills, you're not going to, but in Vail, Marana, the west side of Tucson, there's a good chance you can get a pool. Okay, Pete, is Tucson a good area for remote workers?
Absolutely. In fact, we've seen a large influx of remote workers, especially since the pandemic, where they're making an income based on a market that's substantially more expensive and relocating to the Tucson market because of the affordability. So how competitive is the real estate market at the $400,000 price point, Ange?
Great question. So $400,000, the houses really have to look really good to sell. We keep saying that real estate right now is really like a beauty pageant. So we need to make it look good. That's where our concierge services and our pre-listing prep really come into play. So the average days on the market in Tucson right now is about 62 days. And currently our team is selling them in 34 days. And the national stats show that the faster you sell a home, the more money you typically get for it. So that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I think that's one of the value propositions that we bring to consumers on the selling side. They have a home in that price range they need to sell. That's one of the value options that we bring. And so if somebody has a home for sale in the Tucson market, and we just went through kind of what the competitive landscape looks like, what's the next steps that they should take?
So the market really has changed in the last couple of years, so really important to get a professional opinion. So there is a link below you can click to get your home's value, and then we'll review that and help you figure out what it's worth in the market right now.
Love it.